Hello friends, I'm Aparna Ganguly. I'm a Sahaja Yogini from Kolkata and today we have with us Mrs. Armaity Bhabha. Armaity ji, आपका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है. Journey of a Seeker में. Yes. Journey of a Seeker में जैसे हम आपने पहले भी हमारे कुछ एपिसोड्स देखे होंगे. हम एक
Yes, I've seen a few. I've seen a few, yeah.
Yes. तो उसमें हम सिर्फ यही जानना चाहते हैं एक सीकर से because since you have come to Sahaj, you have been a child. आपको you must have followed some religions. Your parents must have introduced you to something like it happens in every family. So I would just like to know your journey, how you started your, especially the spiritual part of it, like that, what are the triggers that led you to Sahaj Yoga? How did you establish in Sahaj Yoga? And you can start with your childhood faiths and belief before, prior coming to Sahaj, what was your faith and beliefs, and how, in fact, you can also add the once you took to Sahaj. So obviously, many seekers face this, the family members and relatives and all, they don't quite like that. How come you are now into this and all? So if you have faced something like that, and how do you handle those things? So all those things we would like to know so that it helps the other seekers who are wanting to start this journey to understand that what happens. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Aparna, for inviting me here. See, my journey, I really cannot pinpoint when it actually started. I think now when I think back at my life, as a child, I was a seeker, but I did not know what seeking was all about or anything. But I think my earliest memory must have been when I was around 5 or 6 years. And I used to live in a joint family. And one day, I still recall that day as if it was just yesterday. It was a rainy day, and I was lying on a couch, on a veranda of my house. And all my grandparents and my uncle, cousin, they were all inside. I was the only one on the couch. My parents, everybody was in. And I was just looking at the gray sky, and suddenly the thought, I don't know, from somewhere it came to my mind that I want to see God. And to me, I was just a child. So that's again, that thought was, followed by another thought that, yes, when I die, I will see God. And then again, the same thing followed that, but then I'll be dead. How will I know that I've seen God? These were my kind of questions which were arising in my mind. This is my earliest memory of what I was seeking. And I was also quite different from the rest of my family. My background is that I'm a Parsi Zorashtrian. And I think not many people from Parsis are somehow accepting this. They somehow still feel that this is something to do with a Hindu religion or some other religion, outside Zoroastrianism. They are so conditioned by their religious upbringing or whatever you call it, that for them, this was something out. Because I tried, when I was new to Sahaj, I called so many people Parsis. I tried to speak to them. Sometimes some of them will say, okay, let us know. And then after hearing me out or joining me to go to the weekly center, they would just disappear because they would think that I have become crazy. I have become brainwashed. This was the word which I heard so often when I was new to Sahaj. And I think most of the people still feel that I am brainwashed. But it doesn't matter to me now. But at least at that time, in the beginning also, it used to hurt a little that without knowing anything, why are we judging it, And for me, I was never a very religious person in that sense. I never visited, we have got fire temples where people go and they just pray. And mainly they're all praying for material things, people, I don't know. I mean, people may be praying for something, but at least I don't think people pray for real spirituality because I don't think they would be satisfied with the beautiful religion, what they have reduced it to, most of the priests, they have reduced it to something, just rituals, basically, And the rituals have taken part, it's taken a part of the religion, For them, nothing matters what Zarathustra has really talked about. It's all about. And people, the main thing people go is for asking for things, or they go for prayers for the people who are dead. I mean, that's a very big part of our religion, you know. People, I think the priests have done it. And now people feel that, oh, getting prayers done for the people for dead, for years and years, the prayers go on, you know. Sometimes it used to last for 45 to 50 years after the person has died. But now it's getting slightly lesser because it's become very expensive to do that. So not many people, do the prayers for the dead for that many years. But still, I think for most of the people, they are very happy with just reading from a book, praying. So for them, this seeking, I don't know, somehow it has been lost, I think, in the Parsi community. They don't seek something deeper. And they're happy. And, material things they get, they are extremely happy, and they feel that now we are really close to God. So unfortunately, that has been my observation, But then for me, I was still seeking and I was always different. And so I became more withdrawn. I was told that I was very mischievous as a child, but then I completely went into a shell. I became an introvert because I really couldn't communicate with the people around, except for few people, because none of them were really, and I used to see the way they behave, and I used to wonder how they can behave like this. And so, it just went on for so many years. Then I think once I lost my mother quite young. And at that point of time, I think I was seeking more, but I didn't know what. And that is the time I discovered Rabindranath Tagore. Somehow, I don't know. I think God has been very kind to me. I've never gone to any false gurus, because see, this going to gurus is not so much amongst the Parsis. Now, of course, people are going, and they are unfortunately going to all the wrong ones, all the false gurus they are going to. But for me, I don't know, I just turned to Rabindranath Tagore. And in those days, I'm talking about late 70s, At that time, Rabindranath Tagore and Rabindra Sangeet was never very known in Bombay. Now, I think because of the internet and because of so many people traveling, it's become more. So at that point of time, I started reading Tagore. My husband was a part of some library, a public library. So I used to bring books from Rabindranath Tagore. I started reading. And I was always fond of music. So after my mother passed away, I moved with my father to Bandra, from South Bombay. And that is the time when I read in the paper that the Bangla Bhasha Prasar Samiti was carrying out also music classes. Unfortunately, I didn't join the language class. I wish I had. But my children were small. I didn't have that much time. So I joined the Rabindra Sangeet. But because it was a free service, they were not, very sincere. Sometimes the teacher would come, sometimes the teacher wouldn't come. So I asked there that, can you suggest to me somebody more? I'm ready to pay, but I want to learn more, in a proper way. So they guided me to a school called Shahana School of Rabindra Sangeet. It has been there with Suchitra Mitra group, She was the one who was behind this Shahana. And there were lots of teachers, but the main teacher, the one who taught me Rabindra Sangeet more, Indrani Acharya, she was from Dakhin school in Kolkata. So I joined them, and because I was fond, I started reading more. And for me it was very difficult because I don't know the language. So I had to really, I learn myself to take a Barakhadi book and do ka and how ka is written in Bengali. And, that way I slowly, from the Gito Betan, but the Jodakshars still foxed me. I was not very good at that. But I started learning, and then, there were younger people in my class where I was learning. So I would take their help to explain to me what this word means, that with the dictionary, and between all this thing, I slowly started writing my own meanings of the songs which I was learning. And I was very fascinated. Something, I don't know, the Bengal culture, I don't know whether it's some past-like connection or what, but I was always very fascinated. So I started learning Rabindra Sangeet, and I finished my certificate course, and then the diploma course, I was in my fourth year. 5 years the diploma. And at that time, it became a task for me because my children was growing up. They needed me in the evening time, because my husband was traveling. So I had to be there for them. And also to give the exams, I had to do the scansion and read and notations, which became more like a task for me. So I told my teacher that, see, I'll drop out. I am learning music for joy, for my joy, and something it enriches me. For me, whether I get a diploma or something is of no consequence. Nobody is even going to bother if I get a diploma. They were very upset because I was one of the earliest non-Bengali in their school. But I gave it up. And then for some years, I was just reading Tagore, and whatever songs I knew, I kept on singing and all. And then one fine day, I realized that I have to join. And my teacher somehow, she came to my house for some work. I don't know how it happened. It just, I think, divine intervention. And she came and she said that she had just started with some set of Gujarati ladies. She had started a private class. So I jumped at the opportunity. I said, definitely, I'm going to join this class. Just learning music is what I want. I don't want anything more than that. So I again joined them. And then for many, many years, I was with that group. And one of the students was a professor of Hindi literature, and she knew Bengali. So she would write all the songs, the full, the from the Shorobita, and she would write the words. She would give us the meaning in Hindi. Mainly it was Hindi. She would give in Hindi. Then she would tell us. So for me, again, from Hindi, I would translate it to English. And then I would, by that time, I was already in Sahaj. So I very often realized that her meanings were very superficial. But at least it gave me a starting point from where I could translate it to from Sahaj point of view, from the spiritual point of view. So that went on for I don't know how many years actually. It must be around more than 10 to 15 years I learned with them. And by that time, I had shifted from my father's house because it was a small place to a company flat. And there, my neighbor, she was practicing Yogini. So for 1 year, she kept on telling me, that something comes here. And we not coming from a Hindu or Indian, that sort of a background. I had no clue what she was talking about. She couldn't really explain. Then after a year, when I came to know her more and I was talking, I said, I want to learn yoga. I didn't even say the word yoga. I said, I want to do like this, how you see Swami Vivekananda or you see Gautam Buddha, like that. I want to do that yoga. I said, not exercise. So she's saying, but that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm telling you. So because she couldn't explain to me, I said, can you give me something to read? And to my good fortune, she gave me Advent, Gregoire's Calvin book. I read that book and I was so interested. I was so interested in that book, I must have read it at least 3 times. And something convinced me that this is it. This is what I was seeking. And I had absolutely no clue what I was thinking, and it also answered many questions which I had in my study. I'm a trained psychologist. So there were so many questions which I used to always wonder that there are no answers. And I found the answers in the book, that the basic premise, the premise on which the psychology is based, that they're talking about horizontal layers of consciousness is completely wrong because it's all vertically partitioned according to Mother. And it made a lot of sense. I said, this is what I want. So I read the book. Then I think one fine day I told my neighbor, I said, Dolly, her name is Prabha, but we call her Dolly. I said, Dolly, now you have to give me an experience. That is more important. And she kept on telling me, okay, today I have to go out. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll give you next day. I'll give you next week. It went on for 1 or 2, 3, 4 times like that. And one fine day, I just told her, I said, see, today is one of our festival days, spring equinox, 21st March. At least today you give me the realization. So she just thought that this one is not going to leave me. So she said, okay, sit down. She made me sit on a bed, close my eyes, and she must have raised my kundali. I had Kundalini at the back. I have no idea what she did. But my only reaction, which I can remember, is just tears trickled down my eyes, you know, and I felt good. So then she said, Chalo, now tumhara ho gaya, you know, I've given you your realization. But still, nothing new except for the tears in my eyes. I didn't know. Then she gave me a picture. So I used to just sit on those days, you know, things were not so, I'm talking about 1990, you know, so I started, you know, just sitting in the front of mother's picture with two hands outstretched. And I would just feel good about it. This continued from March to December. I was just doing that. Then December, this Dolly, this Prabha, my neighbor, her elder sister called Nirmala Verma, she came from Delhi to go to Ganpatipule. And she was really, I think, one of the very good Sir Yoginis whom I met, you know, really. So by talking to her, she told me one or two things, you know. I said, see, I used to call her Gigi. I said, Gigi, see, what has happened? I had this sinus problem, which has just disappeared. I had since childhood. That has gone. I'm feeling good. So she told me, she said, Armaity, you know, you were clearing your entire family. You know, what she meant was the Vishuddhi, you know. Which, so that gave me a completely new insight into Surge when she said that, you know. So I said, fine. And then they were going to Ganpatipule. And I just thought to myself, oh God, I want to also go to Ganpatipule. But not because of mother. You know, I was so stupid at that time. I said, I want to meet Gregoire because his book has convinced me so much, you know. And I was not going. So last day I said, oh, I wish I was coming. So these people were very good. They said, come on, if you want, we can take you along with us. You know, they were going in a car, we can fit you in and we'll take you. So I immediately called up my husband. I said, they are ready to take me. I'm going. So he said, fine. So that's how last minute, I went to Ganpatipule. But before that, when I was not going to Ganpatipule, when I told Dolly, I wish I was going. So she said, I'm going to Vashi. You know, that time this health center was called Ashram, Sahaja Yoga Ashram. She said, all the yogis, foreigners, they are coming before the seminar, Ganpatipule. So they need help. So if you want, you can come with me. So I said, fine. So, you know, I landed in Vashi. And I still remember there was a veranda and we were all sitting and peeling potatoes, you know, for all the Surge Yogis who were going to come. So I started, you know, sitting there and talking. And I was just talking to them. And I said, oh, you all are so lucky. You all are all going to Ganpatipule. You all will meet Gregoire. And as soon as I said that, Dolly saying, see, look, who is coming? And a busload of foreigners came, you know, from the airport. And right in front of them was Gregoire. So, you know, they introduced me to her, sorry, to him. And I said, Gregoire, I've been so lucky that I read your book. And I read it at least 3-4 times, you know, your book. So he just laughed and he told me, oh, then you must be knowing more than me. So I said, no, maybe I didn't understand. So I had to read it 3-4 times, you know, and just joking like that. And I met him and he said, thank you and all. I said, see, your book has convinced me and what I was looking for. Then all that happened. And then finally, I did manage to go to Ganpatipule. Now, I went to Ganpatipule and, you know, I'm a person who needs my proper 8-9 hours of sleep, you know, always at least 7-8, so definitely. I can't do with less sleep. But when I went to Ganpatipule, I was not sleeping and I was not tired at all, you know, I was like bubbling with energy. And the people, I went with my neighbors and all, and they were like, you know, because we used to attend the program completely at night, you know, late night. So daytime, they used to all not get up in the morning, and I could hardly sleep at night. So early morning, I was awake again. And they would tell me, chide me that, why are you not sleeping? Go to sleep, go to sleep. But, you know, I said, I'm not tired. And this went on for this 5-6 days. I was like completely in heaven, you know. And then all of a sudden, I was always fond of writing, but I had not much into poetry writing, you know. I mean, except when my mother died, I had written, or something which really affected me, I used to write poems, not otherwise. And suddenly, from somewhere, the poems just started flowing. and I had nothing to write it on. So they all helped me with pieces of paper collected from everyone and a pen, on which I started noting down these poems. This I must have written not very big. They were all just 5-6 line poems, not very big poems. But I wrote about 17, 18 of them, in those few days. And last day, like I think it was the Shadi Ke night, the wedding night. And this Dolly's husband, he went and gave the poems I had written to somebody on the stage, that she has written this poem for mother. And that night itself, when mother was still on the stage, these people decided, no, it's become very late. Tomorrow we have to leave for Bombay, so let's go. So, I was with them, so I had to go back to the hotel with them. And this just happened. And next day we were leaving morning back to Bombay. So we went to this MTDC, we didn't go to the pandal, we just went to MTDC for breakfast. And right there, I saw, Gregoire sitting there. So when I was just passing by, he just called me and he said, why didn't you come yesterday? We called out your name on the stage. Mother wanted to meet you because you had given these poems. So I said, I'm very sorry. With people with whom I came, they wanted to go back. So I had to go back. So I was a little disappointed that, I couldn't meet mother. And then he spoke some 2-3 things, and it was just a very pleasant sort of encounter with him. And I thought to myself that I came all the way to Ganpatipule to meet Gregoire. And I didn't even see him during those 5, 6, 7 days, that week. But just as we were leaving, I met him and this happened. Then returning back in the car, I wrote my first song, I composed it and wrote my husband called Mere Kanth Mein Swar Karke ek song hai, which I wrote first time sitting in the car. Then I came to Bombay and then this went on, I stood to meditate on my own. I was like completely happy. I don't think my family was too happy because they felt that, this one is now going out, she's now not bothered so much about us. And I started, then after, I think, maybe a couple of years or 1.5 years, one day mother's program, public program in Bombay, she got hold of this neighbor of mine, Dolly, and she told her that now you have to start a center somewhere in Bandra, which will not be in Marathi, but it will be in Hindi and English, it will be for different people, those who are not Maharashtrians. So she said, okay. And so far she was not doing it because she thought that, she wouldn't be able to do it alone because she used to travel a lot because of her family, she had a lot of commitments. So she said she won't be able to do it. So then she said, Armaity, now you are there to help me, so let's start. So we went hunting for places, which is very difficult in Bombay to get. But somehow, finally, through Dolly's contacts, in Khar, which is the next suburb after Bandra, we managed to get a school. And we started the school there. The center there every Wednesday or something. And then we used to go, and we used to do in a very simple manner. Our collectivity slowly grew. And in a simple way, we used to carry out meditation. Just a table, we used to put a tablecloth, put mother's picture, and agarbatti karte the. But we had very good collectivity during those days because we never did any rituals or anything. Then, after some time, I think must be about 4 or 5 years, that school was to be demolished. So we moved to another place close by. There also about a year or two we did, and then 2 or 3 times we shifted, and finally then we came to Khar again in another school, where also I think the center. So basically in Khar we were moving around from school to school, and then it was still very good. But then, I don't know at what point of time as the collectivity grew and everything became very ritualistic in the centers, They were more interested in decorating the place, saying the same mantra, every time doing the same thing, saying Ganesh. It became more like a ritual than a, spontaneous happening. But unfortunately, we could never, at least I could never convince these people that let us be more spontaneous. Let us really meditate rather than doing all this thing. And this went on until today. Sometimes the vibrations are good, sometimes they're not. But that joy of collectivity is very much compromised, I would say, if I have to be honest. I'm sure some people will hear it, they won't like it, but it was definitely very much compromised because of this ritual. And I am totally against rituals. I mean, you do it spontaneously, you do it as a protocol, it's fine. But just doing it mechanically, for me, that's not really meditation. And this went on. And, as the years passed, I started writing more poetry, more song. And every time I used to meet mother at public programs, actually I've written all my encounters with mother, which has appeared in Mataji Nirmala Devi University, where I was very much involved. I have been involved. Then in the middle, I was not that. But again, I'm trying to get back because of my health. It suffered for some years.
SMNDU.
Yeah, SMNDU. Yeah, sure. And that is mother's. People don't realize that this is what mother has asked to do it. Actually, it's not just that all her teachings have come together in a virtual university in all subjects. It's like a different department, but there is a more subtle reason behind this mother, because it's a collective. Mother says collective being. So genuinely, people who are interested, who want to be a part of the collective, it's a Facebook provided this opportunity, and people from all over the world, all over the continents, all over the countries, they are all being part, and it's brought people closer. Of course, there are many people who are not really there for the right reason, I would say, but still there are many who are there for the right reason. And there is a very good. And another thing which is very important is, that Michael Davis, with whom mother left, the
responsibility.
what do you call it? Yeah, she left with him the task of setting up this university. He was also an academic person till his health was not bad. His wife was very much of an academician, Gloria. And somehow, I don't know. I mean, I never knew him at all, except that he was my Facebook friend. And one fine day, he had put up something where he had suffered in surge for some reason for some years, and he was out. And I just reached out to him because I felt that, I had to reach out. And when he talked about the university, our ideas, were very, what he wanted. I said, yes, that's what it is. And so I was very much involved in the university was being set up, And I thought it was really, and he has made it very clear that speaking, sweetly, not talking back about anybody, all that is so important. And that's such a, because you know what happens in surge very often. People, breaking up. So in fact, this collective is very much there because nobody's trying to break the collective. Everybody wants to be a part of it. There are not too many ego hassles which you will find in other groups. So I was very much involved in that also for so many years.
So you have written your encounters with Srimataji in the form of a digital blog, or
no, I have just put it in that Bliss and Miracles group and on my own Facebook page. I have it, I can send it to you, the whole thing, and you can put it up in a blog, because see, I'm not interested in really doing so much of all this kind of work. I can send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
You
Yeah,
can do anything.
you have got it in a Word document?
No, I have it just in an email. I can send to you. If you send me your email address in WhatsApp, I can send it to you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Please do that. I will make a,
Yeah.
I have many blogs, so I can always put a post on that.
Okay.
That is something which people should have.
Yeah, because see, whatever I have shared, even my poems or anything, I said I don't claim any copyright or nothing like that. It is only mother who has, made me write. Otherwise, I was not writing music. Also, I mean, not that many songs, but I had done it at that time. So many of them, and I had a good fortune to even sing for mother. Many of them, once it was at Ganpatipule, and once it was in LA. When I was there for a public program.
In front of Srimataji.
Yes. Yes, yes.
So have you ever spoken with Shri Mataji face to face?
Yes, many times.
Wow.
I was lucky. See, the thing is that I have never really sought or told anybody, even though my neighbor, she was, senior to me in Surge by about 7, 8 years. And she, through her sister, was related to Sir CP. So, people always thought that these are relatives of mother. So she had, but I never ever told her that I want to go and meet mother. I just happened to be with her. Or sometimes it just worked out that, mother has asked for me and I could meet her. But then I wouldn't say that my journey of now, I think in March 23, on 21st March, I will be completing, I think, 33 years in Surge. So for me, in this 33 years, I wouldn't say that like it's been like a going up straight. There have been so many ups and downs, which, mentally, emotionally, physically, every way. But each time, like I question myself, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because I'm very introspective by nature. So and sometimes it was really bringing me down that why this is happening now at this point. But then I think in hindsight, I've realized that whenever I've been down, it has been a learning ground for me. I've realized so many things which I would not have realized if I was not down. So I think in some ways, I think it's been a blessing that way, that it has given me deeper insight into myself, deeper insight into so many things which I would not have. Now, I'll tell you a very simple thing. Like yesterday on Facebook, there was one yogini called Reena, Tripathi. She had put up on her page that she dreamt of houses falling down and things happening. And then very soon we heard about this earthquake in Turkey and Syria. So I just put a comment on her post that yes, these are the days of judgment and something like that to that extent. So she said, yes, the energy is in a flux. Sorry. So I said, exactly. I said, right now, you know that I had a major surgery in November. After that, I was recovering well, and I had a few setbacks of other things, but sometimes I do have this vertigo attacks, which like lasts for a few days. And now though I can control it even without medicine, it's nothing really that bad. But recently, last week, I had I have been having vertigo when I get up, from the bed, in very strong. And not even my tips, which the ENT doctor gave me, has been able to stop it. Or even with medicine, but slowly it is coming under control. But I'm not worried about that vertigo when I get up from my bed. But it is now that even in the daytime when I'm here, I'm feeling a little imbalance. I'm not feeling that the earth is not steady. And when I talked about this to with Reena, she has been having exactly the same thing. She said, vertigo, I have been taking homeopathic medicines, I've been taking this, that, but I'm feeling as if the earth is something is going on in the earth. And so then I realized that this is a completely different issue. It's nothing to do with vertigo. Because the earth right now is definitely into turmoil. It has it has erupted into an earthquake there. But it is not just in Turkey and Syria, because the effects have been at so many far off places. So that means that there is something going on at the cosmic level. It's going on just now. And collective level, because so many yogis and yoginis and all, they are not really truly collective. I mean, they can claim to be, but unfortunately, you see so many things happening. So all this collective problems of the collective, problem at the cosmic level, if we are connected to Param Chaitanya, it is going to be reflected within you, in your body. And you have to witness it and experience it to know that, yes, this is what it is. What mother is talking of, the collectivity, mother is talking of the kalki, which is going to come. So it's happening right now here. It's very much happening. And unfortunately, not many people, I mean, I wouldn't say non-yogis, so definitely they won't understand this. They will things that we are talking through our hats. But even the yogis, I don't know how many will really agree with what I'm trying to say. So this is what has been happening now.
Yeah. Yeah, mother, not only mother, in fact, in some scriptures also, it has been said also, no? It will manifest. Kalki thing will manifest as destructions and natural calamities.
Yeah, and that is because see, the Kalki is nothing but the collective consciousness of the yogis. But provided we had all contributed to it, it would have helped. But not many yogis help in this collectivity. See, today, if there is, see, so far when mother was alive, she was taking up all our problems. She was sucking it and she was clearing it. Now, once she is no more physically on earth, she had prepared us to suck in all the negativities, from the collective, work it out within ourselves so that thing. But see, we can't be like mother. She was the Adi Shakti. She could do it herself alone. But for us individually, the load is too much. So unless and until there are more yogis of good caliber, then that load is distributed amongst many such yogis. Then it becomes easier. But if there are very few of that caliber, and that's why you see so many yogis today are suffering from ill health, suffering from mental problems, emotional. Mainly it is, I think, physical problems many yogis are having. And that is because they are involuntarily sucking in the problems of the collective. And I don't think we are each one of us that strong to clear it out. But I think if more and more Surge Yogis go deeper and deeper and start doing this, clearing, then the whole load is distributed amongst many people. I think, and that's what Mother intended that we should do, because if we are larger in numbers of that caliber, we can all work out the problems of the world, not only of Surge Yogis, but I don't think many Surge Yogis have realized what we are really in for, because I don't know how many are true seekers, Unfortunately, I've heard in Mother's talk that Indians as a whole are not many seekers. India, the Westerners, yes, because they are few, but they have they've seen the darkest, they've really gone low, and the seeking from there within is very much there amongst the Westerners. And I've had a good chance to meet many yogis because my children live abroad. So, especially the Canadian and the American USA collectivity, not so much now because of this COVID, I'm not that much in touch with them physically. I am there in touch with them on the net, but not. I have found that the caliber was so much better. When I used to go earlier in 90s, I think 98 onwards, I started going to Canada. The Canadian collectivity was very small. I mean, I know the older, and I found them so much better than the Indian collectivity, because Indians, we were large in number, but there was not much of a depth in the collectivity. Whereas there was. But now, along the years, I've seen that there also, as the collective has grown, and sorry to say, but many Indians have also gone there. Now, they are bringing again the rituals there and, changing the whole way Surge Yoga is carried out. Same thing in America. I mean, I'm not familiar with the entire American, but I'm familiar more with the collectivity, the California collectivity, the Bay Area collectivity. There also is the same. When there was few people, the collectivity was very different. Now that more and more people are added and more Indians are going there, they are carrying from India all the rituals there, and they feel that we are Indians, we know more. So, they try to take over.
Whereas Mother has herself said that a day should come in a yogi's life that only 3 minutes of standing in front of Shrimati and that's it, you are done for the day. Aapka
Exactly.
Kundalini, you have experience here, that's it, you start with your work.
Yeah.
Shrimati ji herself said कि आप इतना पूजा करेंगे तो फिर काम कब करेंगे, right?
But exactly. But I've been trying I'm breaking my head since so many years to try people, but unfortunately I've not succeeded, People don't. And in the beginning, when I used to tell them about how I found those collectives, people used to feel that you are running after goras, they call it. I was like shocked to say, I said, why should I run after them? I mean, how are they going to benefit me in any way? But I'm just telling you the truth that this is what really happens. This is what I have seen. But no, but you won't believe when I first came to Search, people didn't accept me here in Bombay. They all thought that I was totally different. I didn't fit into that typical Indian, whatever they thought. And
But in the Bhavsagar, they are singing songs.
Zarathustra, yes.
Uh,
But I don't think many Indian nobles even know about Zarathustra. See, now perhaps because of the internet, I think a little awareness has come. But still, I don't think they know much about Zarathustra. But these people definitely, like feel. So in the beginning, I've heard because I used to go along with my neighbor, and she was very like important in the search world at that time. So I used to just tag along with her because I used to go with her. And I've heard them tell that, oh, she's still there because they thought that I'd just come for some time. And they wouldn't accept me because they really thought that I was different. So I thought to myself, if the foreigners with absolutely no Indian background can come into search, I'm an Indian. So I have got an advantage, in fact, that I have had because see, I'm convent educated. I have gone to a college which is a Catholic college, St. Xavier. So for me, my education has been in English language because but of course I also know Hindi. I also know things about Indian, you know, philosophy or something, whatever. I mean, I may not know exactly too many things like a Hindu would know, but I know something. So I would think I was at an advantage because I had Western upbringing, plus I had Indian sensibilities, but they were not ready to accept. For so many years, people did not accept me. Except for close surgeries, not many accepted me at all. So this went on, but I was not really bothered because I was not there for any gain as such or to become popular. It was nothing like that. But I think after the internet started and I started posting stuff and then assembly, so more and more people, and because I was going to, and once I had visited Cabela, once I attended Canajori, I've been lucky that one time each I have been able to go to all these places. More and more, and then my poems they had published it. I think that was done by who had done it. I think it was
you have a
no,
WordPress.
yeah, the Austrian collective.
Oh.
They published my book, called Nirmal. No, it was called Sahaj Sahaj Mala. You know, I mean, I had to do it so fast that it's not been properly edited or properly revised. Because suddenly they said, "Oh, we want to give it as a gift at one of the Kabela pujas. So if you can quickly get it published and sent." So it was all sponsored by the Austrian collective.
It's a
So
book of
many of
poems,
these
book of poems by
book
you.
of yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
all these things, because of that, the foreign Sahaja Yogis knew my name because again, my name is different from the others. So that's how I think they knew more about me. So when I went to Canada, when I went to USA, people knew me because of the poems book. But in India, nobody was even bothered about my book. I mean, they knew about it in my own center. Nobody was even bothered to read one poem or even song which I've tried to. I said I'll make you all learn the songs I've written. I don't think anybody was at all interested in it, for
But
whatever reason.
I don't know, I've heard this one thing about in Nagpur, where I had a cousin. So these Maharashtrians are very Marathi centric. They don't even speak in Hindi, I heard. That's very strange. Where Mataji has taken her knowledge abroad also, where she has said it in so
Yeah,
many words that Hindi and English.
yeah. Unfortunately, they're very parochial, and also I think they. I mean, I'm sure many Maharashtrians wouldn't say that all are like that, but many of them feel that they have a better right on mother because mother hailed from Maharashtra. She was a Maharashtrian. So she belongs more to them. Maybe that's what they feel, you know.
So one thing, two, three things before we wind up, I would like to request you for. Firstly, your encounters with mother that you have recorded, please send it to me. I will blog it. And
Okay.
secondly, the thing that you were saying about Kavi Guru, you have written it from the the awareness point of view. After Sahaj, you have written about what you understood from this. I want that also. Can you somehow get it for me? You had
Just
handwritten it?
no, I didn't exactly get what you were saying
Yeah,
about.
Rabindranath Tagore, when you were with the Rabindranath Tagore and you were thinking and you got it in Hindi, you translated it into English and all that. That collection, if you have.
I have a collection. I've got files and files and files of them.
But it's all
But
handwritten.
a few of them are very more dear to me, in which I have got them in email. So if you send me your email address, I'll send you all the meanings of what I have translated.
Yeah, sure. Because that's very important. In fact, it's very strange that you said this because a couple of my, I have got some teams where I make Yuva Shakti to do some work and all that. So one of the person even suggested कि देखिए outside of Kolkata, Rabindranath Tagore को का चर्चा नहीं है and mother has said that he is a realized soul and we want to know more. So हमको पता ही नहीं है कुछ. But the northern area, they are not so much aware of Rabindranath Tagore's things. Like we
See,
are.
now little bit of awareness is there in Bombay, but not too much. Because I mean, I know about other schools, but the Shahana school from where I have learned the business again, they are not only for music, but the entire Bengal culture, the dance, because my teacher's daughter, she is very much into the Rabindra Nritya and all that. And she's, of course, a trained dancer in Bharatanatyam and everything. So they have gone all out to spread. But again, when I went to the programs, there were mainly Bengalis who came for the program, but there were a few. Many Gujaratis came because I think many of them were associated with Shanti Niketan. At that time when Tagore was there, many Gujaratis somehow joined. So they have translated some songs in Gujarati. There are some, but for me, no. I mean, I just want to hear it in Bengali. I don't want the translation.
So
I
you
know people
even
like
learned,
it.
you even picked up Bengali fonts and this thing. You picked up that
I
also.
because the Bengali language is so sweet and his language is so sweet that I somehow don't like the translations. I mean, Hindi and Gujarati come nowhere near what
Bengali.
Bengali. I
His
don't know.
his
I
especially
really wish I knew the
especially
language.
especially
I
his
don't.
expressions when you read the Gitanjali and all how he has described God.
Yeah,
In
see, his own translations I don't mind. But see, I have not read Gitanjali in Bengali. I have read it only in translation. But his own translation, I suppose there is some spiritual depth in them. So I like them. Maybe if I read them in Bengali, I would enjoy them more now that I know the English meaning. But I've never really read, frankly, Gitanjali in Bengali. I've read it only in English. But English also is I mean, I keep it like for years together, it was next to my bedside. And whenever I felt low, before coming to surgery, if I felt low, I would just go to Tagore. I would read his biography, and it would fill me with joy for whatever reason. Maybe because he was a realized soul.
yeah,
I would go to it,
probably.
and how he as a child, how he as a grown up. There was a book which I had, his biography written by Khanolkar, which would fascinate me, as a child, how he would do and what he wrote and how he was when he was young and he was on his Thakurbari in Padma, on the river Padma. He was in a boat and how he used to meet all the villagers and from there he wrote all these short stories. So even his short stories, his novels, everything like fascinated me.
Very well.
Not just poems.
Yeah, everything.
So
So,
I think I don't know.
I want to
I
you
think
say, can you hear me? Yeah. I want you to give your advice to new seekers.
See, I am nobody to advise them, but the only thing I would say is unless you are a real seeker and you are really seeking truth, you're seeking joy of the spirit or comfort of the spirit, then you should come to your Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja Yoga is not for just filling up your, material desires and all. Yes, all this comes in a package. Even that can get. And for me, another thing is that somehow when my connection has not been too good, for whatever reasons, because we are human, sometimes it's not good, then I don't speak about Surge. I don't speak. I just go into silence. People tell me that, oh, so-and-so has come, please talk to them. I said, please excuse me. Because if my connection is not there, I will just not talk about Surge. Because I feel like a fraud, frankly, if I have to talk about Surge and my connection is not good. I know it within myself. And I think after this COVID and my health being bad, I really had very bad 1.5 to 2 years. And I went into my shell, I wouldn't really do, Some of my friends were worried. They said, what is wrong with you? I said, see, because I have physically suffered a lot. I could not really think. And because I knew my connection was not good, I said, I will not speak. This has been my, what would I say? I've always been like that. I don't speak about Surge when I'm not properly connected.
Right now, what do you think? Are you properly connected or not?
Yes, I am. Luckily, after my surgery, things have changed a lot. And I only prayed to Mother that please make my connection properly, and whatever negativity has attacked me, please take it away. And I think if you really pray to her from a heart, you don't need anything else. You don't need anything else. But provided you pray from your heart and that connection is there. Otherwise, she herself has said that if there's no connection, you can say any amount, but nothing will happen. So we have to just keep that connection going. That is, I think, most important.
Like,
I don't think anything else matters. Yeah.
Like Kabir has said, no, pothi padi padi jagmua pandit hua na koy.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, prem, that is a manifestation of the heart. That is it. That works out. Your faith factor and all. That also is everything is an ashirwad of Shrimata Ji only.
But Mother is really, and I still recall the day when she took her Mahasamadhi, on 23rd February in 11. I was not here. I was not in India. I was in Canada at that time. And I knew she was not well. But the day she passed away, I mean, I had not still got the message there that she had passed away. And that night, I suddenly got up from my sleep and my hands were like full of vibrations, And I just felt happy for no reason, in the middle of the night. I just felt extreme joy and all. Next day morning, when I got up, I got the news that Mother was no more in her physical form. And I just said to myself, oh God, when I calculated the time of Cabela and Canada, and I said, oh, that is the time when she was,
leaving her.
Yeah, she was leaving this earth, And I think as she went, she blessed all of us so much, with vibrations that it was, I mean, there was no reason for me to get up in the middle of the night and all, but it was just joy,
That she has said no in one of her lectures, and when I will not be physically present, I will be more vyapak. I will be more there.
Exactly. See, many people tell me that how lucky you were that you met Mother. I said, yeah, I definitely consider myself very lucky that without seeking anybody's help or anything, I could meet her and she could meet me. And I'm really blessed, I would say that. But I would also that sometimes, right in the beginning, like I told you, I wanted to go to Ganpatipule not to meet Mother, but to meet Gregoire. I mean, I was so stupid, at that time. I didn't think what she was. I knew that this is it, but I didn't realize who she really was, I think, at that time. But then as the time passed, and whenever I feel low, I know, I've never lost my faith in her, but I've lost faith in myself because I could not keep that connection going. For some time, it was a very weak connection. And at that point of time, I've always sought her help in trying to come back. And I think I have not been able to do it on my own, definitely not. It was she who has helped me to again get proper connected to her. I mean, that's what I can say, nothing more.
Okay, we will wind up this interview now. Thank you for being
Okay.
with us. So we can always again get meeting like this where you can share something more. We can always share for the new seekers or whatever we can think about. So with this note, let's end the interview. Thank you very much for being with us. Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you. But just send me your email address. Okay?
I will.
Okay. Okay. Jai Shri Mataji. Thank you.
Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you.